Okay, I'm sitting naturally. I'm ready.
Welcome back to Seek Strength. Welcome back to Seek Stan. Today we see the return of a popular series called the 10-Minute Talks. And today's 10-minute talk is going to talk about going full Klokov.
So, going full Klokov, of course, refers to the act of taking allegedly a boatload of performance-enhancing drugs following your career as a professional weightlifter, hopefully an illustrious career as a professional weightlifter, and then doing a sundry of variations of lifts and taking them to the absolute limit. For example, in Klokov's case, we had a ultra heavy pause at the knee snatch. You'll have seen the 200 kilos, and then also a very, very heavy hang snatch.
Yeah, to be honest, this is probably one of my favourite things that weightlifters do, is following their career, or maybe towards the end of their career, they go on a seminar tour, they try and kind of monetize themselves a small bit, and they do some of the most entertaining lifts we see outside of the kind of battles we see in competition. You obviously, Klokov, remember a couple of years ago, just before COVID, Klokov had a list of seminars he was doing for the year, and I think it was like 50 countries or something for the year, or 50 different seminars, which is a seminar every single weekend. It's amazing.
Yeah, so Klokov also pushed the thrusters aggressively as well. To be honest with you, I would just really prefer to see the main lifts done aggressively. So, for example, if I had my choice of picking someone to go full Klokov,
Right.
it'd be Ilya Ilyin just going full Klokov now and just seeing some big lifts again. 'Cause that's all I want to see really is those massive lifts. I didn't really care so much for the thrusters. The pause snatch, obviously, while I can appreciate it's incredible, I love the aesthetic and the beauty of the full lifts.
El Clásicos.
El Clasico lifts, and I really enjoy that. So what I just want to see is more of those, but bigger and obviously faster, because they're unfettered use. I don't mind things like Tarokudi did something similar. So Tarokudi did obviously a huge power jerk. I think Tarokudi did 250 or 255. I can't remember exactly at the CrossFit Games. Now, we don't have to say allegedly because both of those did test positive, but so I'd really like to see Alien do it, but hopefully I think there's an opportunity for Lou there.
Yeah, I think using those weird lifts and the derivatives of a lift to a certain extent is a factor of you're doing multiple seminars all the time and you can't just keep maxing out your snatch and clean and jerk. Like, I think it's pretty unreasonable to think someone will max their snatch and clean and jerk, an actual max, every weekend for a year, like that's a dangerous road to go down. So I think you see people doing things slightly adjacent to the full lifts. Like, I know Sonny Webster on his seminars made the big thing of that kind of weird clean and overhead squat complex, and the no arms jerk and all that kind of stuff. It is interesting. It is definitely entertaining. I think the big thing with those seminars and with weightlifting seminars or just sports seminars in general is people want to see you lifting. They go to the seminar obviously to learn and be coached, but they really do want to see the coach themselves or the athlete themselves doing some lifting. And definitely there is an entertainment value to that for the seminars.
Klokov did say, in regards to your first point, he did talk about the fact that it's much easier just to be in really good shape and do heavy snatches with minimal training for weeks on end than it is to do a big clean and jerk. So very heavy clean and jerks require a lot of strength, a lot of specific conditioning for the heavy clean and jerk. And he said it just wasn't possible to travel and do all those seminars and clean and jerk those massive weights. We very rarely saw him do any kind of 215 or 220 clean and jerk at those seminars. We also didn't see him do a lot of squats, for example, but we did see him do a lot of snatches. The interesting point there is that weightlifting is one of the few sports where athletes could actually do this following their career and make it very, very entertaining. So realistically, you're not going to show up to a seminar with Tyson Gay or Usain Bolt and watch them in the gym run a really fast 100 meters or something.
No.
Actually, you probably would, but that's probably the best example I could have given for other sports doing it. But you're not going to watch gymnasts do a whole lot. There's certainly stuff you can learn from them, but maybe what I'm trying to say is weightlifting is probably the best place to exploit that aspect
Yeah.
of weightlifting, because there's still really objective parts of that. You know, you're not going to watch, let's say the All Blacks is probably a better example, or for example a better team, Ireland, do that. You're not going to watch them in the gym pass the
No.
ball.
No,
There's
no, no.
nothing to be gained. Now that's not to say you're not going to listen to go to talks and stuff. Of course, they're something very interesting, but as an objective continuation of their sport specific activity, weightlifting is one of the best sports to let you do that, and I think it's pretty interesting.
It also gives you a look at a weightlifter. You'll probably never ever get anything similar to that. Like seeing people lift at competition and stuff is cool, but being in the same gym as someone for a day, someone like Klokov, someone like Ilya, like one of the dreams, if I had a time machine, would be to go back to that Kings of Prussia seminar. It was on in like New Jersey or something. It was Klokov, Ilya Ilin, and the
Vasily Polopachinov.
Vasily, yeah.
Polopachinov.
To go to that seminar in a random CrossFit box on a Saturday afternoon, and those three lads are getting after it, lifting insane weights.
Watching Ilya breakdancing probably would be the third lift I'd want to see Ilya doing. So snatch, clean and jerk. Maybe I'd watch Ilya do block snatches. That's like his thing.
Yeah.
But watching Ilya breakdance at 110 kilos with abs would be pretty entertaining for me.
Obviously, this whole thing came about because in the new show this week, we talked about the possibility of Lou going full Klokov. Obviously, because of Lou's country of origin, it's very unlikely that becomes a thing. It's unlikely that that kind of seminar tour would happen for a Chinese weightlifter following on from their career, particularly one who was as successful as Lou was. But I think it would be unbelievably interesting to see Lou going to seminars, doing like max snatch and then max squat jerk from the rack, and then maybe some back squats afterwards.
I don't know what lifts he do. I think the snatch would probably be the biggest one, but probably similar to Klokov. I couldn't see him doing the full clean and jerk, for example. Do you know what? I think when Klokov started that post-career training, I think he was one of the leaders of the extension of the weightlifting career for athletes post-weightlifting, and potentially just elongating the career of currently competitive athletes. So if we look at kind of just before that era, so that was 2012 was kind of when Klokov first started uploading those YouTube videos. And for a lot of you, if you're new to weightlifting, it's so hard to explain to you how ridiculous it was when Klokov uploaded some of those first training videos or first training vlogs. You were like, an elite level weightlifter is using social media appropriately. This is mind blowing, and everyone was watching those videos. And then Ilya did his 2014 prep leading up to the World Championships, and he was vlogging that, and it was literally like a soap opera. Every week we were watching those videos come out, and at the time, a lot of times when lifters were coming close to the end of their career, a lot of times they fell off the map, or we saw people hit like 30 odd in training and they were like, oh, I think it's time to compete. Funnily enough, if you were just looking at the average ages of the super heavyweights, most of the super heavyweight session was in their 30s. There was a lifter as old as 38 in the super heavyweights, and there's most of the session was literally in their 30s. There was more lifters in the A session for super heavyweights at the Europeans just gone who were in their 30s. And I think if you look at a lot of lifters who lifted alongside Klokov, who are still active, there's not many, but they're certainly still there. Like Andrea Ramnov is one of those examples who is still currently training, and he was someone who beat Klokov in the 2008 Olympics for the gold. He retired and came back out of retirement, and a large part of that is the social media. And so Klokov, for going a full Klokov, I think is incredibly good for the sport. Now, they're fully consenting adults, and they're able to make the decision on what they're doing for their training. So it allows them to potentially elongate their financial career, make some more money. It gives people what they want. They're not cheating anyone out of anything. They're not cheating at sports, and they're not making any decisions that they're forced into in that regard. So they're not. It's not East German doping teenagers. It is just blatantly someone doing something for pure entertainment value, and everybody knows what they're getting. Nobody's been duped here. No one's been lied to in any fashion. Everyone's blissfully aware of what's going on in this scenario.
The other thing as well is they're massive like receptacles of knowledge as they're athletes. You know, they're spending an entire lifetime, an entire career learning about the sport, learning about being an athlete. some might learn more than others, or some might be more interested in the coaching side more than others. But their ability to elongate their kind of effective training career and show that to everyone else means they're much more effective at passing that knowledge on to everyone else. You know, like if you're showing up to a seminar and it's some crippled 38-year-old who can't lift anymore, who's really out of shape, it's a very, very different learning tool, or a very, very different teacher than somebody who's in great nick. And that's 10 minutes off.
Hopefully Lou will keep training, because I think everyone wants to see Lou training. Like, there's no way I can't see him getting back to competition, but it'd be interesting to see where this goes from here.
If you have a topic you want to cover on, or you want us to cover on 10 Minute Talks, please put it in the comments down below. Thanks, guys. Today's 10 Minute Talk is brought to you by Sika's Press Program. So the Sika Express Program is specifically designed for you to run alongside your normal training. It will allow you to increase your strict press 1RM, 8 weeks of training, 2 sessions per week to get a new strict press 1RM.